So, hello everybody, good afternoon. My name is Ivan, I work for the National Heart and Lung Institute, and today I'm going to talk to you about what I'm doing in the lab, which is valve tissue engineering. So, if you think of your body as a machine, the heart is the main component of this machine. The role of the heart is to pump blood all around your body, and then pump also the blood through the lungs where it gets oxygenated. Then once it gets oxygenated, it goes back into the heart, and then it gets pumped to the rest of your body and then to the vital organs of the body. So if we look at the heart, this is a fair representation of the heart, and the size is probably fairly similar to mine. The heart is roughly the size of your fist, so I think that's a good representation. So this is the left side, and this is your right side. The heart is divided into four parts. On the top, you have what they're called the four atria. At the bottom, you have the two atria, and at the bottom, you have the two ventricles. So we can open it, and we can see how it's divided inside. As you say, at the bottom, these are the two ventricles, and these are the atria. So each part of the heart contains a valve. So the reason why these valves are in place is they prevent the backflow of blood inside the heart, but they also ensure that the blood gets pumped into the right direction. So as I said, we have four valves. We have what they're called tricuspid valve, because they are literally made of three different leaflets. And we have the pulmonary valve and the aortic valve, which ensure the direction of blood outside the heart, towards the lung for the pulmonary valve, and towards the rest of the body through the aorta for the aortic valve. And then in the ventricle, you have on the left side, you have the mitral valve, and on the right side, you have the tricuspid valve. So here also have actual real valves, if you want to see them closer later. This is the aortic valve. These are from pig, and they are the most similar valve to human one. And this is the aortic valve, which, as I said, it consists of three leaflets. These I separate them. You can see them clearly. And this is the mitral valve. And I think what's very interesting about this valve is people don't really realize how thin they are. They think they are maybe much thicker, but they are very, very thin material, probably about 1 millimeter for the aortic valve average, and the mitral valve is slightly thicker than that. But even if they are so thin, they can withstand the high pressure present in the blood. During the course of a lifetime, one can experience valve illness, and the most commonly one is called valve stenosis, and which is literally a formation of bone growing on top of your valve. If you see it by eyes, it's like a small hard ball, and it's literally made of bone. And this is preventing the valve to function properly. Thus, the need for valve transplant. Currently, valve transplant are what we use for valve transplant are valve from animal, mostly pig, but also from human, from organ donors. But the real challenge is for children transplant. So that's why I'm working on valve tissue engineering. The reason why, if you are transplanting a valve into a kid that is, let's say, 4 years old, he can have a transplant because the kid is still growing, and in maybe 2 to 4 years' time, his body is growing, but the valve is not, because it's an inert piece of tissue. And so the kid will need to have a bigger valve implanted at that point. So what I'm trying to create is a biological valve able to grow with the patient. Okay? And there are main components towards tissue engineering approach. The main one is the kind of material you're going to use to create your tissue. And this kind of material, we're creating what is called a scaffold. What I'm currently using at the moment is a material called polycaprolactone, which let's call it PCL for easy. And it's actually a plastic material. It's a polymer, and normally used as It can be mixed with PVC in plastic bottle, for example. But because it's biodegradable and is actually biocompatible, this is being approved by the Food and Drug Administration, and it can be used inside your own body. It's actually used to make a suture for when you're having stitches or major operation. And so because of these properties, we can use it to create our scaffold. So how do we go from this kind of material to a structure that's more resemble a tissue? So we're using an object which might be an everyday object. This is an airbrush that you might be used for hobbyists, to paint little metal car, things like that. And what we're doing, we're making a solution out of this, and we're spraying it onto a specific, specially designed device to create what is called the fiber. This is how it looks like. You can have a look at it if you want. You can touch it. It's not harmful and everything. And this is the material which is fairly strong if you pull it a little bit. And this is the scaffold that it's the basics for our future tissue, our future valves. Yes, from this I can get into the hair. And the next step will be to use some special kind of cells to populate this scaffold. And what we are doing is we are using adult stem cell, represented here by this nice pot, if you want. And we have a very nice demo like minutes ago about stem cell. But the idea is that we can use the stem cell from the same patient who's going to undergo transplant. And in this way, we can avoid the rejection of the actual valve. So we're taking the stem cell from the patient, we're putting the stem cell into our scaffold, and then we can then transplant this into the patient. Because the material is biodegradable, in time it will be degraded within the body, and the cells inside will replace it with the proper tissue.